afternoon, brethren.
Good afternoon.
I think I'll start today with a bit of show and tell. I got a song that I would like to play for you, share with you. It was written and is performed by my daughter Adrian. And she wrote it basically overnight, I'm told. And she wrote it in response to a challenge given to her by her uncle, her older brother Josh, while we were home last summer. Two wrote that 3 summers ago. But she basically wrote it overnight. He gave her an assignment, and she wrote this song. And it's a song dedicated to mothers. And she titled it A Love Letter to Mothers. To Mothers.
Time goes by.
cup has to be probably about 65, 66 years old. This cup was my favorite drinking glass or cup when I was a little kid, before school age. Last year, my mother gave this to me. I was surprised. I hadn't seen it. Since I was in high school, I guess. But she had held on to it, and she gave it to me. And you know, every time I look at this cup, I'm reminded of an age when my mother and my grandmother were the entire world. Did everything for me, was always there for me, taught me everything I knew. This cup reminds me of mothers, especially my mother. Wow, I just want to show this to you. Every time I drink out of it, and it tastes the same. Every time I drink out of it, I remember my mother and my grandmother. Now, brethren, this is our Mother's Day celebration. You know, we all can remember the story of creation back in Genesis chapter 1. Oh, we've read it a million times, and we all are pretty familiar with it. And we know that God said, as he created heavens and the earth, he said, and it is good. Yes. But there was one thing that he said was not good about his creative act. What was it? Man should be alone. That's the only thing he said was not good. And I will tell you, if I didn't know better, I would be inclined to say that it almost sounds like an oversight on his part. He created this, oh, this is good, this is good. Oh, wait a minute. This is something that's not good. But we know that our God does not deal in hoops. He does not deal in oversight. He does not make mistakes. He pays extreme attention to detail, doesn't he? Yeah. So we all know that in due time, he created a helpmate suitable for Adam. Brought her to her and gave her to him. But think about what may have been like to be Adam. And the Bible doesn't tell us how long it was that Adam was on the earth by himself. At least I haven't read it. We see two of that. But there's nothing like me. The Bible doesn't tell us how long it was that I was around. So imagine what it must have been like to be the only human being on the earth. No family, no parents, no friends. The only human being, the only one like me around. Must have been difficult. So imagine how thankful, how excited he was when God brought this woman to him. I would have to say, brother, it was a tremendous blessing for Adam. I bet he couldn't stop smiling. A tremendous blessing. And that's why I always think of women, especially mothers, as God's second greatest gift, exceeded only by the gift of his loving Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, brethren, the Bible tells us of many wonderful examples of motherhood, inspiring examples. As Gloria mentioned, describing a mother's love, she said a mother's love is unconditional. You said that. Unconditional. A mother's love is selfless. A mother's love is enduring. A mother's love, more than anything, I'm convinced, more than anything on this planet, reflects God, imitates God. Now, as fathers, we love our children as well. No, of course we do. Dory said we'll talk. You and Steve said we'll talk about it next month. But you know, father's love can't compare with a mother's love. A father's love, at least in my book, is conditional. A father's love can be easily influenced by other factors, especially the behavior of that child. Whether that child is obedient or disobedient. I've seen too many examples of a father having to deal with a disobedient child, and that father would get angry and get upset, and it would affect, I'm convinced it would affect his love. I'm not saying he stopped loving that child, but it will affect his love. For the mother's love is unconditional. Nothing will affect it. Jesse James had a mother. Didn't he? Jesse James had a mother. Adolf Hitler had a mother. And they all loved those children. No matter what they did, they were crazy about it. I understand that when Jesse James died, that his mother originally had him buried in the front yard outside of her bedroom window so she could have a clear view of his grave every night when she went to sleep. She loved that son. Now, man, if I had $100 for all the people, all the men Jesse James killed, I would have my 58th birthday. But a mother's love is unconditional. A mother's love is selfless. A mother's love is enduring. A mother's love, more than anything else, reflects the love of God. Now, as I said, the Bible gives us many examples of motherhood, wonderful examples. And I want to take you, for a little time I have left, and share one with you, my favorite. It's in Matthew chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 21 through 28. Jesus' encounter with the Canaanite woman, the Syrophoenician woman. We've all read it. I know I've spoken on it before, so we're familiar with it. But let's just look at it one last time and see what a mother goes through. Yeah. She's a wonderful example of what a mother goes through for their child. Matthew chapter 15, beginning in verse 21. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. Verse 22. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession. Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him to send her away, but she keeps crying out after us. Verse 24, he answered, I was sent to the law only to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt before him, said, Lord, help me. She said. Verse 26, he replied, it's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Yes, Lord, she said in verse 27, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. In verse 28, then Jesus answered her, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed that very same hour. Now we're all familiar with the parable of the persistent widow. And the widow, let's go on and on until she finally gets what she needed, what she wanted. We're basically seeing that parable played out here in this passage. We're seeing it being played out. Now let's go back to the scene. Jesus has taken his disciples, they've gone north, about 30 miles north of Galilee, into Gentile country, you could say. And he had hoped to be able to enter into the city according to Mark, and because Mark also records it in Mark chapter 7, verses 24 to 30. Mark says that Jesus had entered a home and hoped that his presence could have been kind of kept on the down, a little secret. But this woman, this Gentile woman, recognized him. And she started to call out to him, Lord, Son of David, help me. Have mercy on me. Now, the first important thing that we see here is how she addressed Jesus. Lord, Son of David. Jesus wasn't often addressed in that manner. By doing so, she shows two important things. One, she shows that she senses his divinity. She senses that he's divine by calling him Lord. And then when she says Son of David, she's showing that she has faith that he is the Messiah. You know, it's funny, we don't think about it, but Gentiles kind of look forward to the Messiah as well, not just the Jews. Remember when Jesus met the Samaritan lady at the well? What did she say? They tell us that a time is coming that one will come that will tell us all things. She was looking forward to the Messiah too. This woman showed faith in the Messiah. When she says, Lord, Son of David, she's admitting that Jesus is divine, and she shows faith that he is the Messiah. Now, the disciples, first Jesus just ignored her. Continued to do whatever he was doing. But she wouldn't let up, even though she was being ignored. And we all know that back in those days, Jews and Gentiles often didn't have very much to do with one another. So she was being ignored by the Messiah. His disciples, oh man, they had no compassion on him whatsoever. The disciples came and urged him to send this woman away. She's bothering us. And then Jesus spoke up. Then Jesus told her that it is not good to take the children's food, or take their bread, and give it to their dogs. But did the woman give up? Then she came and knelt at his feet and said, Lord, help me. Showing her faith that he was the Messiah. Showing her faith that the Messiah was not just for the Jews, but for all mankind. Lord, help me. Now, you know, we can easily misunderstand this passage of Scripture because if you just look at it on the surface and take it out of context, you can be tempted to see that this woman, that Jesus is basically insulting this woman. He's calling her a dog. But it's not. He's not insulting her whatsoever. What Jesus is doing, he's creating a metaphor. And he's testing this woman. And he's teaching this woman. And he's also teaching his disciples. Because they need to learn something about how to deal with people. They need to know that no man is unclean. They need to know that. So he's teaching them and he's testing her faith. But she has called out to him, Lord, Son of David. Now, where the confusion can come into play is that the word that Jesus used, when he did it, does mean dog. But the word that Jesus used is is called, let me get it right. The word that Jesus used is kurion. And basically there was two words, I guess, that the Jews, because Jews did refer to Gentiles as dogs. They were considered so unspiritual that just to have them in your presence, it made you ceremonially unclean. Jews did refer to Gentiles as dogs. But they used the word, in that sense, the word that was used in the Greek was kuon, K-U-O-N. And it means like a wild cur, a mixed breed, a dog that is worthless, a dog that is of little value. But the word Jesus used spells K-U-N-A-R-I-O-N. I call it Canarian, but that's just John Graham. Call it what you want. And it means a small dog, a pet dog, a dog that you care about. And so what Jesus is doing here, he's creating a metaphor to make the point that both the woman understood and his disciples would understand. That the priorities of his ministry at this time dealt with the Jews. He was there to deal with it at that point in time with the Jews. And so to turn his attention away from the Jews and to begin to deal with Gentiles was synonymous to taking their bread. A father taking his bread off his children's plate and feeding it to their pet dog. He's just showing the priority of this ministry at that time. Now, but the woman clearly understood what he was saying. She's not offended whatsoever. The disciple probably wondered, what on earth is he waiting around for? Send her away. But the woman said, yeah, that's true. But even the dogs, even the cat dogs that are sitting there by your foot, eat the crumbs that fall off the table. Jesus was amazed by her response. Jesus was amazed that this woman had enough conviction that he was the Messiah, that even though he had tried to ignore her, even though when he finally spoke up, he told her what his priorities were, and even though she clearly understood them, she still had the conviction to act. Lord, please help me. Jesus was amazed by her faith. And he said, woman, you have great faith. Great faith. Your request is granted. Brethren, that passage, shows us the passion of a mother's love. Shows us the power of a mother's love. Shows us what a mother will go through for her child. For that child. Even though she knew that he was the Messiah, and even though she knew that he had said no, she insisted. And Jesus finally just had to say, woman, I'm amazed at your faith. Your request is granted. I tell you, brethren, that's the kind of mom I have, Laura Graham. The kind of mom that held onto this cup for 60 years maybe. The kind of mom that reminds me of the love of God for me. That I have a God who's my rock. That I have a God that will never turn his back on me. That I have a God that will put up with all my little idiosyncrasies, all my shortcomings, all my failures, and will always be there for me. Laura Graham did the same thing. Now I will tell you this. There's one thing that Gloria and I disagree on. Gloria, you spoke about mothers. That you had many women, there are many women that had served basically a role as a mother, however you want to put it in your life. I don't call anybody mother but Laura Graham. My mother-in-law, what do I call my mother-in-law, honey? Miss Claudine. Yes, Miss Claudine. Don't I? I call nobody mother but Laura Graham. Brethren, mothers are an incredible blessing. They're God's second greatest gift. If your mom still lives, tomorrow give her a